Namaste, everybody. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome Dr. Raj Kapoor. Renuji is here. So it's my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome Dr. Raj Kapoor. Dr. Raj Kapoor is a graduate of Maulana Azad Medical College, from where I graduated. He's about 11 years senior to me. And Dr. Kapoor is a board-certified physician. It has 4 boards with internal medicine, pulmonary medicine, critical care, sleep medicine. But above all, he is not only just a phenomenal, awesome physician, he's a philosopher, he's a musician, he's a writer of international, several booksellers. He's been speaking all over the world, visited 88 countries, given lectures all over the world. He also was a professor of yoga and wellness and meditation at the Hindu University of America, extremely knowledgeable in Hindu scriptures, and in addition to just being a great physician, he has had a personal impact on my life, my family's life, and thousands of others' lives. When COVID hit, we reached out to Dr. Kapoor, and he personally took care of my family in New Delhi, India. They were suffering from COVID. I can't even describe to you how he took care of them from here in Pittsburgh and got them out of the woods and got them well. And he has selflessly helped thousands of patients all over the world during the COVID crisis, giving unbelievable life-saving advice. So I call him God's man. He's a phenomenal guy, a good-hearted person who has selflessly helped thousands of people, thousands of patients all over the world, and our Memcona of WhatsApp groups, giving them advice about medicine, about COVID and all that sort. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. Raj Kapoor. Thank you. Namaste, greetings, good morning. You have been very kind. You have been I'm glad to see you all, and today I'm going to share some very interesting things which I call as uncommon wisdom. We have to understand what is wisdom. When you have information, you add experience to that. Information plus experience is equal to knowledge. Information is not knowledge. It has to be combined with experience. Then it becomes knowledge. And then we have the intelligence and the wisdom. With intelligence, you can prove or disprove anything. But wisdom is a non-contradictory statement. There are no two opinions about wisdom. And this is the wisdom we have inherited from our scriptures that I would like to make you aware, which will help you in your daily life. We are all familiar with our scriptures, and it answers 3 basic questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And what is the purpose of life? And interestingly, 5,000 years ago, 75,000 rishis, munis, maharishis, sadhus, saints had the same 3 questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And what is the purpose of life? And to find the answer, they could not find in the external world. The only way they could find the answer was in deep meditation. In deep meditation, they touched higher frequencies, and they heard the pre-existent frequencies, and they orated that.
Anything which is pre-existent is eternal. It was always there. And the word eternal in Hindi is called Sanatan. Sanatan means eternal. And when they sat in meditation, these 75,000 saints or whosoever, they got exactly the same answer. Who am I? Why am I here? And what is the purpose of life? And when they orated these frequencies, what they heard is called Shruti. Shruti means microtone or frequency which you hear, Shruti. And this Shruti literature is called Vedas. There is no authorship of Vedas. Nobody wrote Vedas. Vedas were heard in meditation. And then they orated that. 20,000 verses. And 500 BC, these 20,000 verses were comprised into 4 Vedas. See? And they tell you our dharma. Dharma is not religion. The reason is that there is no good English translation of the word dharma. Dharma means good moral conduct. Sanatan Dharma. The Vedas reflect the good moral conduct which they heard, which was pre-existent. So now you understand what is Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is not religion. It's a natural law of being. What is the dharma of the sun? Is to shine. What is the dharma of the water? Is to flow. What is the dharma of the air? Is to blow. What is the dharma of a human being? Is good moral conduct. Sanatan Dharma is the natural law of a human being. And when you follow that, they call you a Hindu or somebody who's practicing Sanatan Dharma. Hinduism is not a religion. Hindu is a way of life, of good moral conduct. That's it. You see, we are so fortunate to learn this uncommon wisdom, which is pre-existent, Sanatan. And if we have become aware of it, we can be a good Sanatan Dharma. So I'm going to share some of the interesting facts from the Vedas and how it came to affect me personally and in you at practical life. So these people, they heard, which is called Shruti literature. Shruti is the heard or the microtone. And parallel to that, we have Smriti literature, Smriti, memory. And the Smriti literature has Mahabharata and Ramayana. So we have Vedas as Shruti literature and Mahabharata and Ramayana as Smriti literature, hearing and memory. Ramayana took place 10,000 years ago, has got 35,000 verses. Mahabharata took place 5,000 plus years ago, has 100,000 verses. And Vedas have 20,000 verses. And then there is Puranas, stories within stories and stories within stories and stories within stories. All the Greek fables come from Puranas. Panchatantra come from Puranas. And if we were to put all the stories end to end, it will circle the earth 5 times. This is the magnitude of our literature. There is no scripture like this on the planet. Our Vedas, our Puranas, our Mahabharata, our Ramayana. Amazing literature. And we have to learn from this. But who has got the time? 20,000 Vedic verses, 100,000 Mahabharata, 35,000 Ramayana. Nobody has the time. You cannot finish it in one lifetime. But there is an outlet. The Mahabharata is a story And like in every movie, there is a song. And there is a song called Bhagavad Gita, which is in Mahabharata. Song sung by the Lord. 700 verses. The 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita contains the quintessence of anything and everything that you want to know. You see? So imagine there is a cow, and the cow is all the Vedas and the Puranas and the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. And Krishna is the milkman. And Arjuna is the calf. The milk is the Gita. It is the quintessence of anything and everything that you want to know. And it will answer you, who am I? Why am I here? And what is the purpose of life? So beautifully done in 700 verses. I'm a busy physician, I don't know, but at least I can read 700 verses. As you know, Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters, the war took place between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, between the two cousins, and Krishna was the mediator. He became the charioteer for Arjuna, and they're fighting the bad forces. So Bhagavad Gita starts with Dharam Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samveta Yusvaha. What is the Dharam Kshetre, Kurukshetre? This is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Dharam Kshetre, in the field of dharma. In the field of dharma, the good conduct or the bad conduct, there is a constant war, which is the Kurukshetra. And this is the war taking place in your mind field 24/7. You sit in an armchair in the mind, and there is a dialogue going on between the good and the bad. The good moral conduct and the bad moral conduct. You see? There is a Dharam Kshetra, Kurukshetra going on in the mind field 24/7. And Bhagavad Gita will answer you, what is this Dharam Kshetra, Kurukshetra? You see? So there are 5 Pandavas, we have 5 good qualities in the mind field of Kurukshetra. Yudhishthira stands for righteousness, Arjuna for skillfulness, Bhim for strength, Nakul for love, and Sahadev for compassion. 5 qualities. And then there are 100 negative qualities. Duryodhan and his brothers. Duryodhan, bad warrior. So simple. Born from a blind king. Dhritarashtra, bad nation. The mind is born blind. And his wife, the intellect, Gandhari, also assumes blindness by putting a blindfold. The mind is born blind and the intellect assumes blindness. So what kind of progeny will you have? 100 negative qualities. There's a constant war between the 5 good qualities and 100 negative qualities in your mind field. That is Dharam Kshetra, Kurukshetra. So what does Arjuna say to Krishna? Take me to the center of the field so I can see. Well, see, these are the 100 negative qualities you have. Oh, I want to run away. I don't want to fight. So Krishna says, you a hero, you have fought so many wars before. You become a victim. Do your duty. Do your duty is the dharma. You're a soldier, you have to fight. You're a physician, you have to heal. You're an engineer, you have to manage the atomic plant. That is your duty. And that duty is called Swadharma. You see? Bhagavad Gita has already told you what is Swadharma. Do your duty. Your duty is your dharma. That is your good moral conduct. Okay. So with this, Bhagavad Gita in the 18 chapters decides 3 things. The mega utterance of Tat, Tvam, Asi. Tat, that. Tvam, you. And Asi is the interaction between you and that. So we shall discuss all the three. So what is Tvam? Who are you? I'm sorry, why am I here? Tvam, that, who am I? And what is the purpose of life? The interaction between I and that. See? So who am I? I am the Atma. Why am I here? Is because of my karma. And what is the purpose of life? Is to selflessly help others and escape the cycle of birth and death. That is the three answers to the three questions. And Bhagavad Gita and the entire scriptures will answer you that, which you can use in your daily life. So who am I? Why am I here? And what is the purpose of life? And I told you there are two different literatures, the Shruti and the Smriti. The eternal, the Sanatan, is a direct experience and meditation. There is no authorship. It remains unchanged in 5,000 years. No syllable has changed in the Vedas, even though it was transmitted orally and written 500 BC. Very hard to understand 20,000 verses of the Vedas. So the student will go to the teacher and ask, "Sir, can you explain me what is death?" "Oh, okay. Come sit near me and I will teach you." That is called Upanishad. Upanishad means come sit near me and I will teach you. That's all. So there are 108 Upanishads, different treatises about different topics. And about death is Markandeya Upanishad. For Om, there is Mandukya Upanishad. They will treat one subject, and there are 108 Upanishads. In Smriti, you have Mahabharata and Ramayana. Mahabharata is very complex and networking. Well, I don't believe in Mahabharata. I don't think it happened. Okay, that's fine. It is not what happened. It is what if. What if a king will talk to a priest? What will transpire? That is Mahabharata. What if somebody is a surrogate mother? What will happen? That is Mahabharata. What is if somebody is a bastard? That is Mahabharata. It will answer you every question that you have. It is not what happened. It is what if. And when you will understand what if, it will become history for you. And if you don't understand, it will remain mythology for your whole life. It is not the story, it is the moral of the story. Ramayana, everything is linear. It starts from A, it goes to B. Even when Ram stands, he stands straight. If Krishna stands, is crooked. Even the word is crooked. It's complex, complicated. One is linear, one is complex. But learn from the moral of the story. Whether it happened or didn't happen doesn't matter. It is the moral of the story. I'll give you an example. So Ved Vyas wanted to write Mahabharata, 100,000 verses. He needed a transcriptionist. So he asked Ganesha, "Will you please write this for me?" He says, there is a condition. If you stop reciting, I will not write anymore. So his ink got over, so he broke half of his tooth, as you know, then he started to write. I learned a lesson. There is a condition for everything. Oh, I hired a transcriptionist in my office. And she said, "I'm going to charge you so many dollars per page." I say, "I'll give you the asking price. But if you make one mistake, I will deduct 10 cents. I learned it from Ved Vyas. There's a condition. She never made a mistake. It doesn't matter what happened. What if a transcriber will talk to a businessman, what will happen? That is Mahabharata. So learn it that way. So can I need some help here? Can you help me? How to change the slide? Let me go back.
Go back.
Okay,
Go forward is that way.
go back.
Go back this way.
Sir, is there any edge to the space? Is there any edge to it? The space that we have? Is there any edge to the space? There is no edge to the space. There is no beginning, no middle, no end. Is that true? There is no edge to space. No beginning, no middle, no end. This is called infinity. Right? Time has no beginning, no middle, no end. That is called eternity. Eternity and infinity. No beginning, no middle, no end. This space is a noumenon. It is not empty. This space has energy. You're all engineers, I know. Can you create energy? Energy in a system, according to thermodynamics, is always constant. Is that true? You cannot create energy. Energy can only be transformed from one form to another. The total energy will always remain the same. And this space and this infinity is occupied by this energy. The energy of existence, the energy of consciousness, and the energy of bliss. Sat Chit Anand is the definition of this infinity and eternity. Sat means existence. That I cannot say it exists, then there'll be two. Existence itself is Sat. And Chit is aware energy. Energy is Chit, consciousness. And if there is only one, there is no competition, is there? If there is no competition and there is no argument, will you not be happy? That is why it is blissful. It is called Anand. There is no antonym for Anand. Sukh ka dukh hota hai, pleasure ka pain hota hai, but Anand is Anand. There is no Anand in Sanskrit. And that is the reason Swami Vivekanand, Brahmanand, Sachidanand, because they are in a state of bliss. It's not Sukh or Dukh, it's Anand, bliss. Sat Chit Anand is the definition of this energy, which is occupying this infinite space, never born and never dies. Only what is born can die. If something is not born, how can it die? And the sound energy of this space is Om. Om is not God. Om represents infinity and eternity and Sat Chit Anand. Om, A-U-M, Om. Om cannot be changed. There is no gender. You read Mandukya Upanishad, it will tell you about Om. That's what the students ask the Guru. Tell me about Om. So what I'm telling you is from Upanishad. You never thought about that. You say Om everywhere. Everything will start with Om. That is the primordial sound. Om. A is the first syllable that the throat says in a baby, or even us. The sound arises with A. Palatal is O. And the closure of the mouth is Ma. Om. There are 52 syllables in Sanskrit. Om contains the entire articulation of man, from here to mouth. It is the silence after the Om, between the two Oms, That is the window of true reality. This Om is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. Even the English language is saying Om. Omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Om. So it's omnipresent, it's present everywhere. Omniscient means it has all the knowledge that there has to be, all knowingness that Sanatan is there. And omnipotent. How do you know somebody is potent unless they show off? You don't know if somebody is impotent or potent until he gets married. How do you know? So how do you know that Om is potent? It shows its potency by polarization. That's what they call Big Bang or whatever. Big Bang cannot cause existence from non-existence. It has to come from existence. And if you take the entire infinity to manifest, then again it will be infinity. Therefore, only a part of it has to polarize. 99% will still remain infinity. That is why you say when you do Havan, Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. You take a part from the whole, what will remain as the whole? Don't you do that when you do the Purnahuti? That is the mantra. Explaining you. There is polarization of Om. And that is when the universe comes into the being. That is how the time is created. That is how the space is created. That is how the cause and effect is created. The world that we live in. And that is how we say, oh God. That's when the idea of God comes. Om is not God. And this idea of God is God, generator, operator, destroyer. Then they give it different names. Generator, Brahma, and Saraswati. It is two now. It's not one. It's two. Vishnu, Lakshmi, operator. Shiva, Parvati, destroyer. Because the human mind conjures up this idea of God. Because he wants to make it visible and seen. Om is unseen and can only be experienced. See? And that is how the space and time that we perceive comes in. And this is the relative reality, not the true reality. The true reality is Om. So the Satchit Anand in Sikhism, they call Akal, timeless, Nirankar, unmanifest. There is no form. Ek Omkar, Nirankar. Same thing, different language. It's unmanifest, it is unseen. Energy is always unseen in some form. There is an electrical wire, can you see the energy? That is why they have to say 220 volts, don't touch it. Because you cannot see. You can only experience it. That is why in meditation you have to shut off your senses, because you cannot see. To experience the energy, you have to shut off your senses. So simple. So to describe the energy, we have a symbol, because the language cannot describe it. That's why we come up with this half 3 moons. The first half moon is the sleep state. The second is the awake state and the dream state. And the fourth is the Turiya, or the state of meditation. And the dot represents the focus of meditation. That is what Om represents. Because this consciousness of Satchit Anand is in you. And that consciousness is called the Atma. Same. You take a drop of water from the ocean, the drop is same water as the ocean. No difference. Who am I? I am that drop of the ocean. I am that Om. Your name, your degrees, your clothes, and everything is a false identity. That's not you are. The true you is the who am I, is the Om. And Om is the representation of Atma. Atma is nothing but pure consciousness. Absolute pristine consciousness without any blemishes. Because consciousness has a lot of content. It has the mind, it has the intellect, it has the experiences, it has the memory and whatnot. But the pure consciousness is the Atma. And the sound of that is Om. So we transit from awake to dream to sleep. Awake, dream, sleep. Awake, dream, sleep. Awake, dream, sleep. 24/7. Sir, you're engineers. Can you appreciate a change without a reference? Any engineer here? Any physicist? Anybody? Can you appreciate a change without a reference? Yes or no? If you're flying and you don't see a cloud, can you tell me which direction you're going? No. That reference is your Atma. The pure consciousness is the reference. Only then you appreciate that you're going from awake to dream and dream to sleep. Otherwise, you cannot appreciate the change. The pure Atma is the reference. So, ma'am, when you're dreaming at night, is the light on? You have the blankets on your face, and how can you see the dream? Where is that light coming from? That light is coming from your pure consciousness. You cannot see. It is the light within, not without. It's coming from your Atma. And when you see that light in meditation, it is called enlightenment. So simple. Enlightenment. You see the light? Which your senses cannot see. So you understand Om and the symbol of Om. This is the highest transcendence. This is infinity. This is eternity. No beginning, no middle, no end. It is immune to death because it was never born. How can it die? And same part in you will refuse to die. It is immune to death. You get it now? So let me explain you what is this Chit and consciousness and prana. There are two energy systems in our human body. When I explained to you, it's the consciousness or the awareness, or the Chit, it's called in Sanskrit, which is transiting from awake, dream, and sleep. And when you go in the fourth state of meditation, the vantage point, you see all the three states. It is at that vantage point you say the awake state is Maya and illusion. Just like you say the dream state is a Maya illusion in the awake state, when you're in the meditative state, then you say the awake state is Maya. But when we're in the awake state, it's not Maya. The Maya is only when you're in meditative state. People don't even know, and they keep saying, oh, it's Maya jal hai. No, you're ignorant. It's only Maya when you're in meditation. Then it's Maya. Because your vantage point tells you all the three states. You're above all the three states. This Chit or consciousness is transiting between awake, dream, sleep, awake, sleep, dream, 24/7. And then there's prana, which is sustaining you. You have to have vitality, your blood pressure, your heartbeat, your temperature, your kinetic energy, vitality. And this energy system is awareness and aliveness. So awareness is the chitta, which is immune to death. We already proved that. We are energy. Energy cannot be created. It can only be transformed. And there's consciousness and there's chitta. It's always evolving. And it is potential energy. That is why I say, rise up to your potential. The word potential comes from a Latin word potentia. Potentia means what? I can. I can what? But the potential in you, that is your consciousness. Potentia. And then aliveness is we need energy to survive. That is prana. We need food, we need water, we need sunshine, we need air. If there is no sunshine for 1 year, we will all die. If there is no food for some, maybe 1 day, but for most of us, 3 months, we will die. If you don't get water for 1 week, you will die. And if you don't get air, you'll die in 3 minutes. All these things are sustaining you to be alive. That's aliveness. But remember that all this prana is only replenished in deep sleep. If you do not sleep properly, you will not live long enough. Sleep is equal to longevity. Sleep is the most essential part for aliveness. The chitta has to go into sleep to get away from the nonsense of awake state and dream state so that it can replenish your aliveness and you remain alive. Queen Elizabeth lived to be 96 because she slept 8 hours every night. And so many US presidents are gone and she was still there. 96. Sleep is essential for aliveness. Anybody sleeping less than 6 hours is sleep deprived and will shorten your life. You have to understand a phenomenon in thermodynamics which is called entropy. So you see the awareness is consciousness and the aliveness is prana from air, water, food and sunlight, replenished in sleep. The prana doesn't flow in blood or the veins. It flows in the nadis. There are 72,000 nadis connecting the chakras within the subtle body in our human being, which cannot be seen by the MRI. The CT scan doesn't show the nadis because one nadi is 1/72,000th of a hair breadth. Our resolution is not there to see the nadis. Well, they don't exist because I don't see it. Well, that is the uncommon wisdom I'm telling you. So these nadis, the prana flows in a fluid state and vitalizes you. And when there is pranic deficiency, that's when you become old, and that's how you lose your senses. We do not diagnose pranic deficiency in our office. The mind only knows what it sees and hears. See, but our Maharishis knew. That is why you economize your prana, it's called pranayama. You get the message? So pranayama will sustain you and economizing your breath. Prana is not breath. Breath is a part of prana. So breath is the link between your chit and the prana. And when the breath is severed, the chit will separate from prana. Uske pran ukhad gaye. What is this ukhad gaye? Chit has separated from prana. The consciousness has separated from prana. And this separation is called dehant. वो देह का अंत हो गया, आत्मा का तो अंत नहीं हुआ ना. There is no word atma ant in Sanskrit. I was looking for it. It's only dehant. What is deh? Deh is sustained by the prana. So dehant, yeah. The prana is gone. The link is the breath. He expired. Expired means he breathed the last. Expiration. He breathed the last, expired. So the breath is the link between the chit and the prana. The language is telling you. And why does this happen? So we have two kinds of energy. This is potential energy of chit and the kinetic dynamic energy of vitality or aliveness. In thermodynamics, there is a thing called entropy, from order to disorder. That is called entropy. So when something goes from order to disorder, it is called positive entropy. The word deha means degeneration. The word deha, the moment you are born, it starts to decay. The word decay is translated as deha. So the body is going to decay from the time it is born. And since it is born, it will die. But the chit was never born, so it cannot die. See? So the chit is negatively entropic and the body is positively entropic. Because it is going from order to disorder, the prana and the body. Whereas the chit is going from disorder to order. It is always evolving. Consciousness is always evolving. And this, can you fix it? This is the reverse.
So this is forward, this is backward.
Oh, this is backward.
Yeah.
So our physical body has three bodies: the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body. Now you would say, I cannot see, because the MRI and CT scan only sees the physical body. Now what is this subtle body and what is this causal body? This is densification of a matter. You have seen vapor and water and ice. So vapor is very subtle matter. Then water is less subtle and ice is solid matter. So matter has subtle, very subtle and solid matter, right? So what solid matter is your physical body and the water like is the subtle body and the vapor is the causal body. So when you're in the awake state, you're in the physical body. And when you're in the dream state, you go into the subtle body. And that is where you see the light, subtle body. And then when you're in deep sleep, you're in the causal body. You don't know where you are. The body disappears. See? So the states of consciousness is changing your physicality into the subtle body and into the causal body. And all the three bodies are governed by the consciousness, the pure consciousness, the Atma. The Atma never sleeps. That is why somebody is observing you and get up in the morning. Oh, I had a good night's sleep. Oh, really? Who was telling you? If you were sleeping, then who is this person who is telling you that you had a good sleep? There's something awake in you. It's ever awake, the Om, Atma, the pure consciousness. So you're awake, you're a physician, but in the dream state, you may be in Bollywood. In the causal state, you're nowhere. But you wake up as a physician. Because if your awake state is like a tree, the subtle body is like a plant, and the causal body is the seed. So the entire physician will become a seed in the causal plane. He'll become a plant in the subtle body and become a tree in the awake state. A physician will wake up as a physician. An engineer will wake up as an engineer. But this transition will occur during awake, dream, sleep. Your entire personality will become in a seed state in the causal body. But pure consciousness is observing it. See, so these three bodies, causal body, that's the cause, causal body, subtle body, and physical body. The physical body is sustained by the prana. The prana is sustained by the mind. The mind is sustained by the intellect. The intellect is sustained by the bliss. And the bliss is sustained by the soul. These are the different koshas in the body. This is a hierarchy. So when there is pranic deficiency, what happens to the physical body? Down. If there's a mental problem, it affects the prana, prana affects the body. You see, these are the hierarchies. As you can see, there's a physical body, there's a breath body, emotional body, intellectual body. I'll explain you more about the different bodies. But as you can see, the prana is from the sun, food, water, air, and is only replenished in deep sleep. If you do not sleep well, you will have pranic deficiency. So you have the pure consciousness, and the kosha is this sheath, Anandamaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, intellect, Manomaya kosha, the mind, Pranamaya kosha, the prana, or the breath. Half is breath and half is the liquid energy I told you. And Annamaya kosha, or the food body, which is the physical body. Before I go any further, let me make it very clear. There is only one energy, which is consciousness. Mind, intellect, physical body, breath, it is all matter. Mind is matter, it is not energy. Like in the Western world, they say mind over matter. No, mind is matter according to Bhagavad Gita. Mind, intellect, everything is matter because it cannot function without energy. Does your mind work when you are sleeping? Does your mind work when you are coma? Does your mind work after death? It only works in the awake state when you are. It's like an electric bulb. Will the electric bulb light without the electricity? Electricity is the consciousness, then it will light up the mind and the intellect and the body. Mind is matter. It is very subtle matter. Very, very subtle matter. It's the vapor. It's not the ice. The body is the ice, but the mind is vapor. You understand? Brain is the hardware, mind is the software. And the nose is the mouse, you can click it right and left. That is why you do pranayama. The connection between the brain and the mind is through the breath. Let us take in a deep breath. Take in a deep breath and blow it all out. Take in a deep breath and blow it all out. Take in a deep breath again and hold it. Breathe. What kind of thoughts you had, sir, when you were holding your breath? No breath, no thought. I learned it from a dead person. Breath is the physicality of mind. No breath, no thought. You can try it a million times, you'll get the same answer. Mind is nothing but a chain of thoughts. No thought, no mind. It's a question-answer session. Mind is a question-answer session of thoughts. No thought, no mind. Think. No breath, no mind. You breathe like a dog, you will have anxiety. That's called anxiety hyperventilation. You breathe like a saint, your mind will quieten down. If you want to control your mind, there is only one key I'm going to give you is your physical breath. If you control your breath, your mind will get control. I promise you, I guarantee you, you can repeat it 1 million times, you'll get the same answer. I don't have to prove it to you. Experience it yourself. Breath is the key to your mind. Sleep is the key to longevity. See? You want to maintain your physicality? Learn pranayama. Sleep well. You don't need any Prozac or anything. That is hiding the dirt under the carpet. If you're cured from your psychiatric problem, the diagnosis is wrong. Because our scriptures teach about sanity, not insanity. They teach us about elevating our consciousness and not to treat the psychiatric disorder. This is the beauty of our scriptures. It is not mentioned in any psychiatry book. I had to read psychiatry for my sleep medicine. There is no chapter about normal mind. They don't even know how it works. They talk about brain. I told you brain is the hardware. Treating mind, the subtle body, with chemicals. Treat it with the breath. You'll see the magic. Anyway, so you understand prana and chit, and the link is the breath. Is it not uncommon wisdom? So this is entropy. That is how you sense the past, present, and future, from order to disorder. And that is how you sense the past, present, and future, because from order to disorder, that is how you see the time from past, present, and future. Because it is negatively entropic. So the states of consciousness I discussed, the sleep, the dream, and awake. So in the dream state, does the future come first or the past? Really? You don't dream about the future? It's all mixed up. It's all mixed up. You lose a sense of time in the dream state because there are no rules and regulations. You can kill your boss, no problem. You can become a film star, no problem. In the awake state, you are governed by the rules and regulations. Well, some people are above the law, but at least I am under the law. So. In deep sleep, doesn't matter, non-issue. So the states of consciousness is changing your perception of time and space. See? What is in dream state is true for you in the dream state. What is true for you in the awake state is true for you. They're absolutely compartmentalized. You don't believe the dream state in the awake state, and you don't believe the awake state in the dream state. There's a line drawn between the two states of consciousness. Okay. And this phenomena, if you understand that the awake state is totally different from the dream state, and dream state is totally different from the sleep state. And the dream state, you're trying to reinforce your unfinished business. All the unfinished desires, unfinished business, you keep reinforcing them. And that is the reason that the yogis eliminate the dream state. In yoga, the dream state and fantasy has no role. They only want awake state, deep sleep, and meditation. Most of the dream state occurs between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. And the deep sleep occurs between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. They alternate. But the dominance of deep sleep is, that is the window of opportunity between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. But after 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. is predominantly dream state. That is why they get up 4 in the morning and meditate and replace the dream state with meditation. That is called Brahma Muhurat, you may have heard. All the transitions occur on the planet during that hour. The maximum number of deaths occur during Brahma Muhurat. The maximum number of births occur during Brahma Muhurat. You can check it out. That is called the auspiciousness of time. Between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., even the nature is transiting from darkness to light. It is that transition that they find an opportune time for meditation. That is the reason meditation is done between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. Because even the silence in the atmosphere is very conducive to see the true reality. Anyway, so you have to understand the states of consciousness and go into the fourth state of consciousness. Then you will realize what is awake state and what is dream state and what is deep sleep. So let me explain you what is body, mind, and intellect, the matter. Body, mind, and intellect is matter until and unless there is energy of Atma given to it. Only then the life will express. Without the energy, you're dead. If the energy is removed from the body, you're dead. Or if there is a disconnect, you're in coma or whatever. See? So the body has got 5 senses, right? And you know the senses? The ears, the eyes, the nose, the tongue, and the touch. 5 senses. And anything beyond 5 is called the 6th sense. That's why there are 5 senses. And these are called Gyan Indriyas, cognitive senses. They capture the information from the outer world, right? Gyan Indriya. And then they will give it to our mind. Mind is called Manas. It's the global mind, but let us say the mind of the global mind is called Manas. And the mind will process this information which is coming from the Gyan Indriya. Of course, it will give it to the brain, and then the brain will process and give it to the mind, which I told you, to the subtle matter. And mind is the seat of emotion. It will feel and process this information which is coming. And then it will give it to the intellect, your buddhi, which is the decision maker. It will say, then you'll think yes or no, and the discerning power is the intellect. But this will not function if you are unconscious. So you have to have the energy of consciousness, or the self, or the Atma. So you have the 5 senses: the form, the sound, the smell, the taste, and the touch, bringing the information. It gives it to the mind, and this mind is called the objective mind because it is sensing the objects of the external world, the objective mind. And then it will give it to the intellect, the buddhi, to make the decision. And the body can only act in 5 ways. It can act, it can vocalize, it can walk or locomotion, it can reproduce, and it can excrete. There's no 6th thing you can do. 5 inputs, 5 outputs. This is called karma indriya, jnana indriya, and karma indriya. When you do the havan, don't you touch the indriya? It's a procedure in the havan. You should do all the time. You anoint the indriya. 5 input, 5 output. So the brings the information to the mind, give it to the intellect, and then you act upon it. So this mind software has got 2 viruses. You have virus in the computer. And the 2 viruses are desire and ego. It will interfere with the decision making. Right? It will interfere in the decision making. If the mind makes a decision without the help of the intellect, it will be an emotional decision. It will be an impulsive decision. It will be a wrong decision. It means your buddhi is on vacation. So chutti pe gaya. The boss is away. So the clerk is doing the job. Follow? Mind is the seat of emotion. Have emotions, but don't be emotional. So says Bhagavad Gita. Nobody is denying you emotion, but don't be emotional. And you become emotional when you use your mind without the intellect. Always make an intelligent decision, a logical decision. Arjuna, don't be emotional. I want to run away. Why? Because I don't want to kill my uncle, my teacher, and my cousins. Where does my come from? That is the virus of the ego between the mind and the intellect. See how it changes the decision? You remove that my, kill him. You're a soldier, it's your duty, kill him. Where does my come from? Because the ego is the virus interfering between the mind and the intellect. Possessiveness, attachment is interfering with the intelligent decision. So we have 5 cognitive senses. The objective mind is outwards. The manas, it is the perception and is the seat of emotion. And the subjective mind is the intellect, which is inwards, is buddhi, and it gives the action. The intellect is again divided into gross and subtle. The gross one is for the logic and the intelligence and the discretion. And the subtle intellect is contemplative, and this where the wisdom resides and the intuition. With intelligence, you can always justify anything you want, but wisdom is a non-contradictory statement. Always act with wisdom, not just with intelligence. And these days, there's even artificial intelligence. So who cares? They cannot have artificial wisdom. Wisdom is beyond intelligence. There is information, there is experience, there is knowledge, and beyond knowledge is wisdom. In that order. So if you're impulsive or unintelligent, you'll become a hostage to this world, and you will emote, and all these perceptions will be all mixed up, scattered brain, we call it, and all wrong thoughts and wrong action. Then you have to see somebody and sit on the couch. But for sanity, you don't need that, because you're going to use your intellect and the wisdom, and you will not need any chemicals. So how do we control this virus? The desire and the ego. We cannot be desireless. A human being cannot be desireless. Only a stone is desireless. I will tell you, to become a professional desirer, when your desires are high, why don't you desire from where all the desires arise? Why don't you desire home? Oh, no, I'm married, I have a family, Oh, really? Krishna was born a prince, he was married. Ram was born a prince, he was married. Buddha was born a prince, he was married. Ved Vyas was married. Guru Nanak was married, he had 2 sons. What's my problem? I have the same CT scan, same senses. I can also do what he did. The problem is my decision is being made by my desire and my ego. It's interfering for me to become Guru Nanak. Because he had a higher desire than what I have. And he had no ego. Sab kuch tera, 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 tera. That selflessness will reduce the ego. And selfishness will increase the ego. Decision making will be different, totally different. You do a selfish act and see what kind of action you have. You do a selfless act and see what happens. So simple. So you can purge out the virus by changing your ego, becoming selfless person. And then the desire, if you have a lower form of desire, that's kind of life you will have. There are 4 lower kind of desires, which are the urges of man: food, fear, sex, and sleep. And these 4 urges are also in animals. If you have these 4 urges and your whole life depends on food, fear, sex, and sleep, you are nothing better than an animal. You have to have a desire above that. And all these 4 desires arise below the diaphragm, in the lower 3 chakras. It is the above chakras, the heart, the compassion, the love, the intelligence, the wisdom, it's all coming from here. So the desire, when it comes from above the diaphragm, it is a higher form of desire. So nobody is saying you become desireless. Become a professional desirer and desire above the diaphragm and not below the diaphragm. Okay? And similarly, when you become selfless, the ego is eliminated. With higher desire, the virus is eliminated, and the mind and intellect will work in cohesiveness, and you'll make a decision with wisdom. So before I go any further, let me explain you that when you do any action, there is a reaction. For every action, there is a reaction. And that reaction is stored in us as a memory, as an experience, or an impression. And this impression is called vasana. In Sanskrit, it's called vasana. So when you do any karma, karma is a law of cause and effect. However you sow, so shall you reap. That's karma. So, well, oh, I did a lot of good karma, I did this and that. I did a good deed. So, no. Understand what is karma. Karma is not what you do, it is the intention behind the karma which creates the impression. Let us take an example. Sir, can you get me a glass of water? So in his mind, he's thinking, can't he get it himself? Or the lady is probably thinking it's a good opportunity for me to get a glass of water. Look at the difference. He's thinking he can get it himself, and she's thinking it's an opportunity for me to bring a glass of water. And both of them bring that glass of water. So the karma obviously is, hey, both of them brought water. They did a good deed. No. He got a bad impression and she has a good impression in his chitta. It is the intention behind the karma which determines the karma, not the obvious karma that you see. This is the uncommon wisdom. So be very careful with your thoughts and intention. That's what determines the karma. See? So these vasanas are acquired because you do action and then experience is restored. And there are also carried over vasanas from previous life, which I'll show you. So there are layers and layers and layers of vasanas in your chitta, not chitta. Chitta is the storage or the memory bank. Memory is already full, hard drive is full. More. All the pleasures, let it keep coming in. So what does meditation do? It is emptying the hard drive. It is reformatting the hard drive. All noisy, clouded, scattered brain, and then, oh, I cannot function, Life is so hard. It's all self-inflicted. Nobody asked you. See? There is no imposition in our scriptures. You have the total freedom of thought. There are no 10 commandments. There are only 10 commitments. What a beautiful scripture. Become a thinking being, being free. Your karma will put you in bondage, and your karma will free you. It is that bondage, that is why you're here. Why am I here? Because of my karma. If I had purged out all my karma, that purging out is called moksha, that is called mukti, that is called nihil. That is how you escape the cycle of birth and death. So keep collecting impressions and bad impressions while you will be in the recycle business. Many lifetimes. But you want to purge out all the karma by being selfless within this lifetime. You see? These are all techniques given in Yoga Sutras. Unbelievable. So from the vasanas which are in the storage house or the memory or the hard memory, when there is a stimulus from the senses, the vasana will be stimulated, and that's how the thought will come. The origin of a thought is from the vasana, from your previous experience, from desire, from your wish list, whatever it is. So somebody enjoys the spirit, not this spirit, the other spirit which comes in a bottle. So when they see a liquor shop, what happens? That vasana of the spirit will be stimulated, and he will start to search which is a better brand. So that thought will come from the vasana. And when the thought is given importance, it will become a desire. And when it becomes a desire, you will act upon it. And when you will act upon it, you'll create another impression. This is a cycle which is a vicious cycle. From an impression comes the thought, from thought comes the desire, from desire comes the action, from action comes the reaction and impression again. And this reinforcement cycle will continue, and you'll gather more and more on your hard drive. Especially with the ego of selfishness and lower form of desires, the memory will get getting full and full and full, and the computer will slow down. If you remove all this, how fast will be the computer? Look at the agility, look at the brilliance of a yogic mind. It's empty. The Swami, they call Swami, right? You know what the word of Swami means? Sarvayami. He who owns everything but doesn't own anything. That is the definition of Swami. Swami Vivekananda. He owns everything, but he doesn't own anything. Because his computer hard drive is empty. This is a prerequisite for moksha. So from vasana comes a thought, from thought comes a desire, and then the action. And this chain of thought is the mind. No thought, no mind. It is simple. So the higher form of desire is a professional desire. So you have a tangible desire to get a diamond and an intangible desire to learn music. Which one will you choose? Because the intangible desire, that impression it will make, will go with you. The diamond will not go with you. Lata Mangeshkar was not born in one birth cycle. Mozart created the symphony at the age of 4 when I was not potty trained. They call it prodigy. Oh, really? This is the carried over impressions from previous life. Understand? Krishna says, Arjuna, you will start where you finish. No, I don't want to meditate. Okay, that's okay. At least meditate for 5 minutes, but the next time you'll start from there. It won't be lost. The last thought when you go to sleep is the first thought in the morning. You can check it out. The last thought at the time of death is the first thought when you'll be reborn. What a beautiful scriptures. Answers anything and everything that you want to know. See? Amazing. This is the Sanatan. This is the pre-existent frequency. I didn't write it. I learned it. Learn the difference between value and price. You want to be a desiring person? Sir, what is the value of a glass of water when you're thirsty? It's priceless. So people are going with price. Oh, this one is 10,000, so I should get that. Go for the value, not the price. If you're a professional desirer. Nobody's saying you don't desire. The most important thing, is it a need or is it a want? Food, clothing, shelter, education, transportation, and freedom to have your own religion is a need. It's not a desire, it's a need. How will I survive? How will I sustain my prana? No problem. But after all that is satisfied, now I have the wants. Oh, I want to have 3 houses, one here, one there, one there. You can have 3 houses, but it won't be a home. There's a difference between a house and a home. You know, all these billionaires, they suffer because they're living in one house in Los Angeles, then they go to Spain, then they go there. Their sleep cycle is gone. So when they lose their sleep, they die early. They don't understand that sleep is essential. I'm just explaining you the need and the want. Cut out the want, just the need, and you'll be happy. You'll be content. So I had somebody, he said, when I was doing my fellowship, he said, the boss is driving a Porsche. He was jealous. He was a respiratory therapist. I say, you can also have Porsche. Do exactly what the boss does, and you will also have a Porsche. He was desiring and not deserving. You should deserve in life and not desire. If you desire, keep desiring. But you should deserve what you have. You'll have the satisfaction. And it will not be a pain. A professional desirer doesn't desire, deserves. Become deserving, not desiring. See the difference? So the ego is the I-ness, the doership, ownership, and enjoyership. It's me, mine, and everything. So the way you renounce the ego is called renunciation. Renunciation is not physical. Oh, I want to go to Haridwar, I want to escape all this, humdrum, and I will meditate, and then everything will be okay. That is escapism. No. I will meditate right in the center of Manhattan. It is a mental renunciation. I will own the building, but if the building is gone, I will not shed a tear. That is called renunciation. I am not possessed by my possessions. That is renunciation. Don't be possessed with your possessions. Have them, enjoy them, but keep a little indifference. So when they are gone, it's okay. I never had it. That neutrality of mind will reduce the ego. Don't be possessive of your possessions. And don't let your senses possess you. And don't let your possessions possess you. Nobody is denying you anything. Enjoy it. But with that mental renunciation, that is called vairagya, that is called tyag. So you can still do it. I've told you the trick. And they will empty the mind. So the karma, as I told you, the external and the internal, it is the intention behind the karma. So let me explain you. When you have the karmic content or the impressions which are of the lower form of desire and selfishness, it will create a bondage. What bondage I mean, that you'll be born again and again. Because you have unfulfilled desires. There is so much unfinished business that I could not accomplish in this life. I wanted to have 3 cars, I only had 1, it was a very small one. These kind of thoughts, when these kind of wishes and desires, I have to be born again to get 3 cars in the next lifetime. That puts bondage. But if you are selfless, no ownership, Swami, Sarvyami, I own everything, but I don't own anything. It is that mental renunciation that I don't own anything. Then you will be free from free. And you will have no desire to come back. Think. Human being has the freedom to put himself or herself in bondage and then seeks freedom. Think. You have the freedom to put yourself in bondage and then you seek freedom. Why don't you be free from free? Ah, बैल मुझे मार. See? Whatever you have accomplished till today is your destiny. And whatever you do tomorrow is your karma. The karma is converting into destiny every day. And the total karma is determined at the time of death. So whatever karma you did is your destiny. So tomorrow you want to do something, that is your free will. The free will dictate what I want to do now or tomorrow. Nobody can stop you. Whatever you accomplish is your destiny. And whatever you do tomorrow. So the destiny is the past and the karma is the future. I plus have is attachment. I plus want is desire. I plus have is attachment, it is past. I already have. And I plus want is future. I already have this, but I want this. I already have this, I want this. So you are going from past to present to future all the time. Past, future, past, future. You're not living in the now. The word present means it's a gift to you. Why don't you use the present? It has been given to you now. You're living in the dead past and worried about the unborn future all the time, like a windshield wiper. Past, future, past, future, past, future. You think you can be creative? Oh, life is a struggle, you know. Unfulfilled desires. I lost my prana. Who's responsible? Nobody. You are the architect of your own destiny. Nobody said anything to you. Nobody can hurt you. You only hurt yourself. All suffering is ignorance. Once you've given the GPS, why would you suffer? All suffering is ignorance. There is only one pain, that is called desire, so said Buddha. There is no other pain, it is only desire. There is no suffering except ignorance. The yogis don't suffer. Swamis don't suffer. Swami Vivekananda didn't suffer. He never complained. Guru Nanak never complained. Always blaming and complaining, 24/7. There's nothing wrong in the world. You live in a confused mind. The world is not confused. You live in a confused mind. When there is clarity in the mind, there is no confusion. Everything in the world is acceptable. The good and bad will coexist. No two apples are same on the same tree. One is golden delicious and one is rotten. That's the law of nature. Accept the good and the bad. And remain neutral. Then neutrality comes from meditation. Peace. No, this is bad. Keep doing it. Why is it affecting you? That holy indifference, that holy renunciation within the mind is the reason for peace and tranquility. You're inviting trouble. Anirudh. No news is good news. I don't read the newspaper. My needs are satisfied. 7 billion people in the world, 99% people do not have one thing is missing: food, clothing, transportation, education, and religion. One thing is missing in 99%. We are the 1% sitting here. And even then we are miserable. You know why? Once the desire is satisfied, when the desire is satisfied, the dissatisfaction begins. When a desire will be satisfied, the dissatisfaction will begin. Oh, I already had this car, a new model has come. It is a never-ending desire. Be content with what you have and enjoy with the gratitude, and you will have no pain. At least enjoy the one you have. Oh, iPhone 14 has come. I will stand in the line. 1 mile long line. The life is revolving around iPhone 14. And then they suffer. A non-issue. Let me explain you this phenomena of reincarnation. Karma and reincarnation are the two sides of one coin. The karma begets reincarnation, and again karma, again reincarnation. So at the time of death, what happens? I told you, uske pran ukhad gaye. He expired. So the body is made from 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Deh ant ho gaya, so deh is going to go back to the elements. That is why we burn the body or bury the body or give it to the birds. Deh ka ant ho gaya. You see? So the body will be returned to the elements. But I told you our chitta is immune to death. The chitta or consciousness has the contents of the mind, the intellect, and the potentials of the senses, the karmendriya and the jnanendriya, these 10 matras, is called tan matras. The 10 potentials of the senses, the mind, the manas, and the buddhi, in the consciousness will all come to a quintessence and transmigrate. You follow? When you switch off the television, what happens? The entire picture comes to a dot and disappears. Just like that, the consciousness, which is immune to death, will contain all this content of impressions, the chitta, the karma that you have done, and all the mind, the intellect, and the senses will come to a dot and disappear to find a new home. The body is lying here, but the consciousness has left and gone somewhere. We come from nowhere, we are going nowhere. If we split the word, it means now here. Nowhere, if you split the word, is now here. We live in the present, not in the past, not in the future. And then, on the other side, in pregnancy, the egg will meet the sperm. The sperm has the whole mind of the man and all the impressions. Every cell in your body has the mind. When you laugh, every cell laughs. When you're depressed, every cell is depressed. 600 trillion cells in the body, same as the number of stars in the universe, exactly the same. Every cell has the total mind of the father, of the sperm. Every ovum has the total mind of the mother. And when they meet together, it is called fertilization. Fertilization means the field has to become fertile to implant the ovum. That's all it means. If the ovum is not put like a seed in the soil, it is not going to do anything. That's called fertilization, sir. But then there is a word called conception. What is this conception? You're conceiving something. There is a difference between fertilization and conception. First, there is fertilization. And when the field is ready, then this transmigrating karma share, which is the consciousness with the mind, the intellect, the impressions, they will enter. And only then the growth will begin. It is a union of three, not two. Oh, I don't believe in reincarnation. So don't. I don't believe in mother, but she's still there. I don't believe in gravity, will still fall. Believe is when you are ignorant. Believe is when you are ignorant and you have no knowledge. And I'll prove it to you how reincarnation occurs. There is Dr. Ian Stevenson in Carolina. He wanted to see reincarnation. He interviewed 2,000 children who had memory of their previous life. And to just give you one example, there was a boy, he said, I died from a gunshot wound. And the gunshot wound was here. The boy says, in my previous life, and I died in this hospital. So Dr. Stevenson went to that hospital and pulled out the autopsy record. The boy has a birthmark at the same spot as the gunshot on the autopsy. 2,000 cases documented. Autopsy proven. Where were you before? Think. You come from nowhere? Think. No, I was there in the mall. Then no, before that. Before that in the womb. But no, before that. Birth is not an accident. Death is not a termination. Birth and death are two transitions. The interval between birth and death is life. The opposite of life is not death. Opposite of birth is death. The life is the interval between birth and death. Birth and death are two transitions. In Sanskrit, you know what birth means? Janma, right? You know what Janma means? What was hiding behind the curtain came forward. That's what Janma means. Janma doesn't mean birth. Think. You will find a new home. Because the consciousness is immune to death. And if it is pure consciousness, it will merge with Om. But since it has the content of the karma, it will be born again. Because it is the desire and the ego in the consciousness. I want to be born again. Okay, we'll find a home. Why am I here? Because of my karma. If I had purged out all my karma, I won't be here. Then I'll be like Swami Vivekananda. I'll be like Gautam Buddha. That's the only difference. So karma begets reincarnation. The two sides of the same coin. Well, where does the soul go in between? It is faster than the speed of light. Anything which is faster than the speed of light becomes a non-local phenomena. It is here and there at the same time. How long will it take? Depends on your karma. Depends on your compatibility with the parents. You will choose your parents. And if there is incompatibility, there will be abortion. A saint is not born so easily. That's why it takes thousands of years before a saint is born. Because they are looking for parents who are sattvic. You're not going to be born in an alcoholic family. In Harvard, they took 1 million pictures of the parents and they synthesized on the computer. So the child should be the average of the parents. They found there was a third element. The third element is the transmigrating element. You see? So this, I had a family, the father was an alcoholic, the mother was illiterate, their son is the state chess champion. It is that third element which is coming forward. So you will inherit and you will acquire. So what you bring in, the carried over is called sanskar. Sanskar achhe nahi hai. Sanskar. Sanskar is the carried over impressions, and then you acquire impressions. That is called nurture. So nature plus nurture is your total being. The carried over impressions, and then you acquire impressions. And these become the vasanas from where the thoughts come and the desires come and the ego comes. And that's how you act. Oh, I don't believe in reincarnation. I have already proven you there is reincarnation. So please, after the talk, prove it to me that there is no reincarnation. Prove it to me. I have proven you. You can't. It's a law of nature. This is in the Sanatan Dharma. If you want to more details, read Garbha Upanishad. It will tell you. The student asked the teacher, how does it happen? So they explain. They have explained the entire development of the fetus in Garbha Upanishad. What a beautiful scripture. Okay. First, the chakras develop in the subtle body, and then the body develops. You are all physicians. The DNA is exactly the same in every cell. Is that true? What power is that which tells the DNA to make the eyeball and not the liver? DNA is the same in the eyeball and the liver. What power is that? That power is the karmashaya, which is telling you make the eyeball. Because the karmashaya wants to see. It is the tanmatra of that potential of seeing, which is telling and directing the DNA to make the eyeball. So if the karma is bad in the previous life and has affected the eye potential, the child will be born blind. Well. Now you understand how karma operates. What did we do if a child is blind? You didn't do anything. It is that third element which is causing the blindness. And of course, if the father is blind for whatever reason and mother is, they'll be transmitted too. So that is acquired blindness. But the congenital blindness is coming from before. So for every action, there is reaction, but there's a time interval. If you drink a glass of water, the time interval is 3 minutes. Pregnancy time interval 9 months. When I did my medical school, it was 6 years. But sometimes the karma is between lifetime and lifetime. So the interval is unseen. Something happened in this life. As you sow, so shall I reap. I may not reap in this life, I will reap in next life. So be very careful with what you experience and what karma you do, because that will determine your next lifetime. There is a story. There was a town and they said, we'll elect a king. But the condition is that after 10 years, he'll be given to the animals on the other side of the river. He can reign for 10 years. But after 10 years, he'll be thrown in the jungle, across the river, and given to the wild animals. So nobody raised their hand. Nobody wants to become the president. I know there's someone who would still want to be, but he's just dying to be president. Anyway, so one guy said, yes, sir, I'll become the president. I'll become the king. Oh, really? But you know, you're going to die in 10 years. Say, yes, yes. Everybody's surprised. So, of course, sir, you'll be the king. So for 10 years, you know, he's just sitting on the throne and enjoying the royalty and the retinue. Now the 10 years are over. Sir, please come here, put you in the boat, get you across the river. Time has come for the animals to relish you. Oh, really? So why are you putting these chains on me? No, sir, we have to make sure that we transport you, otherwise you'll run away. No, I won't run away. So let me enjoy my last day with all the damsels and the retinue and the band and everything, and let me go. So they're all surprised. This guy's laughing. And so when he reaches the shore, they find there is a beautiful palace there. Because in the 10 years, he made a palace there. Very clever. This is called preparation for death. So prepare yourself. So there is already a palace waiting for you across the river. You're making a palace here, but not worry about that. Lest you be eaten by the animals. That is the definition of good karma. Collect good impressions, do selfless service, compassion, love, higher form of desire, and lower your ego. And don't be possessed by your possessions. Have the mental renunciation. I've told you all the uncommon wisdom which you can use to make a palace across the river. So a chain of thought is mind, and no thought is no mind. So how can we eliminate this thought business? A thought will evolve from the vasana. It's called evolution, and it will seek a solution. And it will keep seeking a solution until there's resolution. It's a question-answer session. So I was talking to Randeep. I said, does it occur to you that you are a physician? He said, no, unless I'm asked. Because it is resolved. The thought has been resolved. But an unresolved thought, for example, oh, you know, I have to buy that, and that has not been bought as yet. It will keep reoccurring again and again until it is resolved. It's unfinished business. Any finished business will not come to you unless you're asked. A thought is a content of the consciousness. And a thought is always about an object or an event or an experience or a desire or any such thing. Is that true? So I want you to think, I'm not saying don't think, but your thought should have no event, no content, no thought or any object of any kind. And let me see what you think. Think. What kind of thought you have? Sir? Nothing. Don't think about anything. So there's no thought, because the thought has to have some objectivity. One of the tricks I told you to become thoughtless. And if you quit breathing, you will be thoughtless. I will tell you one more trick. There are 5 senses. So Krishna says to Arjuna, which is the one sense which you should control out of the 5? The eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, or the touch? Anybody? Which sense should you control? Tongue. Tongue is one of the most powerful muscles in the body. It always gets you in trouble. The tongue moves all the time, even in sleep. It's restless and has 2 functions, food and speech, intake and output. For the food, the yogis do fasting, upvas. And for the speech, they say Maun. So Maun Vrat and Upvas is logical. They're training the tongue. Oh, no, he's very religious. He was religious. I'm practicing it religiously. I'm not religious. I don't have any religion. I'm Sanatan Dharma. It's logic. If you control the tongue, you control the world. You control the breath, you control the mind. You can try it 100 times. So let us do a trick. I want you to roll your tongue and put it behind your incisor teeth or the upper teeth, and don't let the tongue move. Roll the tongue and push it against the teeth. Right. Hold it still. The tongue should not move. This is called Khechri Mudra. Ma'am, what kind of thoughts you had when you're holding your tongue? None. Anytime you think, the tongue will move. When you study the tongue, the thought will disappear. Meditation is so simple. Steady your tongue, hold your breath. You see the reality. Okay. Every time they sit in meditation, oh, you should become thoughtless. And the guy is struggling for 20 minutes. How can I become thoughtless? Because the master doesn't know how to become thoughtless himself. I've told you the tricks. There's one important thing. There are 3 forces of nature, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva is purity, white, cleanliness, harmony, peacefulness, softness, white. Rajas is activity, red, follow? Turbulence, restlessness. And tamas is lethargy, inertia, sluggishness, dark, black. You understand? There are three forces of nature which you can apply to anything. You can apply to clothes, you can apply to food, you can apply to thoughts, you can apply to anything you want. This is the principle from Bhagavad Gita. Well, are you vegetarian or non-vegetarian? Well, I'm very religious, I am a vegetarian. Oh, really? Bhagavad Gita doesn't say that. It says, Arjuna, you make an intelligent decision. I will tell you the cause and effect. Bhagavad Gita is only cause and effect. If you eat meat, this will happen. It's up to you. If you eat milk, drink milk, this will happen. It's common sense. Alcohol and meat is a tamasic food. It will create sluggishness. It will create darkness. It will create lethargy. If you eat sattvic food, which is yogurt, milk, vegetable, you'll feel more alert. That's how it is. You don't have to go to a dietitian. When I was a little kid and went for exams, my mother gave me yogurt before the exam. Now I know it was sattvic. The pharmacy and the kitchen was the same in Ayurveda. There was no difference. Your pharmacy is your kitchen. You are what you eat. Palatal pleasure is a lower form of desire. I told you, food, fear, sex, and sleep. Animals also do that. Keep doing it. Oh, it's a new restaurant in town, It's the same variation of the same theme. Are you eating to live or live to eat? So a Swami or a yogi will collect sattva. For the impressions should be sattvic and not rajasic or tamasic. But you cannot have just one, you have to have all the three. So when you meditate, the sattva is dominating over the rajas, the breath, and tamas, the stillness. But when a person couch potato, the tamas has taken over the sattva. Because now the tamasic is not thinking, it's dud. Total dud. Couch potato. You see that difference? So tamas is dominating over sattva and rajas. Whereas a yogi is meditating, the sattva is dominating over rajas and tamas. You need all three. But if your karmic content is more sattvic, that's the kind of palace you will have when you go. If it is rajasic, that's the kind of content it will go. And if it is tamasic, God bless you. Follow? So sattva is balance, sattva is harmony, sattva is positivity, peace, clarity, light, creativity, openness, intelligence. Rajas is movement, activity, excitement, passion, desire, agitation, anxiety, egotism. And tamas is inertia, inactivity, negativity, apathy, dullness, dark, delusion, depression, ignorance. So when you do any karma, when you do any action, a selfless action is sattvic action. Unnecessarily buying bhangra is rajasic. And of course, not doing anything, inaction is tamasic. You'll putrefy if you don't act. Oh, I'm going to retire. Retired what? Do nothing. You'll putrefy. You never say retire. I retired to something. You can be a teacher, you can do some voluntary work, you can do anything. But don't sit at home and watch TV and sleep. No. Krishna says, That is not Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is when you do selfless service with devotion and collect sattva. That is Karma Yoga. The intention is to collect sattva. Bhakti Yoga is total surrender. It's not a part-time hobby. Oh, I go to the temple every Tuesday. That's not Bhakti Yoga. To Bhakti Yoga, only example I can give is Meera and Hanuman. It's a full-time job. Total surrender. And Gyan Yoga is when you differentiate between Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Gyan Yoga is when you differentiate between the true and the false. When the true reality and the false reality, when you know this is Maya only in the meditative state, that is Gyan Yoga. So this Krishna is the psychiatrist and Arjuna is the patient, and he gave him 3 prescriptions: Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. And all 3 will lead to sattvic impressions and meditation and palace on the other side of the river. See? But I cannot do all the 3. So I have 1 major subject and 2 minor. My major subject is Karma Yoga, helping patients. Bhakti Yoga, being a musician, I sing bhajan at home. So my ego self tells to the higher self the lyrics of a bhajan. And then Gyan Yoga, what I told you is Gyan Yoga. I do all 3. Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Gyan Yoga. It depends on your personality. If somebody is emotional, they should do Bhakti Yoga. If somebody is an active person, they should do Karma Yoga. But regardless, you should do Gyan Yoga. That is an essential part of any yoga. Before I leave, I tell you the most important thing to see the invisible reality is a mantra. Mantra is an energy value. In Sanskrit, every syllable has energy value. Mantra is not the meaning. It is the energy of the mantra, the sound energy, which will transport you to higher reality. That is when you do Havan, it is all mantra. In the entire history of Vedas, there is no temple. Ram didn't go to a temple. Krishna didn't go to a temple. Did Buddha go to a temple? Was Buddha a Buddhist? Buddha was not a Buddhist. Jesus was not a Christian. It is the followers who make it up. Guru Nanak was a Hindu. He was not a Sikh. Think. It is the followers. Commercialize it. The only one thing they did is Havan, Yajna. Because the Yajna or Havan, you recite the mantra. And it is the mantra which purifies your consciousness. Because your consciousness will also vibrate with the same frequency as the energy value of the mantra. The highest mantra is Gayatri Mantra. It is the speed of light when it makes any sound, that is Gayatri Mantra. The sound that the light makes when it travels is Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri is a solar science. It's the sun. You see? What is Savitur? Sun. Solar. It's a solar science. There are 7 solar spheres. So there's a long Gayatri mantra. Om Bhu, Om Bhuva, Om Swaha, Om Maha, Om Jana, Om Tapa, Om Satyam, Om Bhurva Swaha, Tassavitur Varenyam, Vargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yona Prachodhyat. Gayatri mantra was given by a king. King Vishwamitra. It was not given by a Brahmin. They don't own it. King Vishwamitra wanted to be a Brahma Rishi like Sage Vashishta. Sage Vashishta was married. His wife was Arundhati. The two stars, Vashishta and Arundhati in the sky, they go round and round like that. The yogis discovered Vashishta and Arundhati stars without a telescope. In South India, when they get married, they have to look at the star of Vashishta and Arundhati. So Vishwamitra wanted to be like sage Vashishta, who was a Maharishi, Brahma Rishi. So the story goes that he was a king and there was famine in his kingdom. So he took all his entourage to go for hunting. They didn't find much food. So on the way back, they saw a hut and they saw some light. So they went there, maybe we can get some food. And there was sage Vashishta. Oh, welcome. 100 soldiers, king, have a seat. And he had a cow called Kamadhenu, the magical cow, and he clapped and Kamadhenu, and the feast was served for 100 people. And the king, oh, what amazing thing is this? Wow, I have to have that cow because in my kingdom there is famine. If I can get that Kamadhenu cow, everything will be solved. So Sage Vashishta said, no, you cannot have that. No, sir, I have to have that Kamadhenu cow. I told you, you cannot have that Kamadhenu cow. I'm going to have a fight with you. Take out all the arrows and kill Sage Vashishta. So he took up his stick and held the stick like this. All the arrows went in the stick. Say, what the power is that this guy is Brahma Rishi and he has this Kamadhenu cow? I want to be like him. So he went back and then he said, I will also meditate. And he meditated. Then Indra said, this guy is dangerous. So he sent the damsel Mara. She disturbed his meditation and he got married to her. Then he tried again. Then the Shanku came. He said, sir, I want to go to heaven in the body. Can you help me? He said, yeah, I will try. So he tried. The Shanku is half here and half in heaven. So the Indra said, this is not possible. Get him down. So he comes down. So again, his meditation is gone. Then he meditated for eons and eons and eons. And he said, I'm going to bring Brahma Rishi and I'm going to kill this Vashishta. So he goes to the hut where Vashishta is with Arundhati. And he's standing outside the hut with a big, heavy stone to kill him. And then he hears that Brahma Rishi, Vashishta is telling Arundhati, I will make Vishwamitra Brahma Rishi. Oh, really? So he threw away the stone when he heard that, and Brahma Rishi, Vashishta came out of the hut, and Vishwamitra fell on his feet, and from his feet came Om Bhu, Om Bhuva, Om Swaha, Om Maha, Om Jana, Om Tapa Satyam, Om Tat Savitur Varenyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimai, Dhyo Yona Prachodhyat. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Raj Kapoor, for a beautiful talk on unconventional wisdom here, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Dr. Kapoor will be here after to answer any questions, but thank you so much for joining today. Namaste. Sanjay ji, you want to say something?
Namaste. I just want to thank Dr. Kapoor. I think the best part that I got out of his talk was not just say what you do, but also tell us how you do it. So thank you very much. Something to take away in practice. And भूल जाइए टंग को कंट्रोल थोड़ी देर के लिए. Delicious food is ready for lunch. It's lunch time. And if we shall, oh, आचार्य जी चले गए. मैं सर्वे भवन्तु. संजय जी आ जाइए. Please. एक प्रेयर करके फिर हम लोग भोजन के लिए जाएंगे. लेफ्ट में, राइट, दोज हु आर नॉट यूजुअल टू आर्य समाज, लेफ्ट में किचन है जहाँ हमारे राजेंद्र जी जा रहे हैं पीला वो पहनकर, और वहां से हम फूड लेके विल गो टू डाइनिंग हॉल एंड सिट देयर एंड ईट. तो संजय जी.
Namaste. Let's all chant. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Mahakaschid Dukh Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bhojan mantra. Om Annapate Annasya No Dehi Namivasya Shushminaha Prapradataram Tarish Urjanno Dehi Dvipade Chatushpade. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaskar.